how a cash buyer determines a fair offer. If you're a property owner here in San Antonio, you're probably wondering, how do these cash buyers come up with these offers? You may have received some already, or maybe you're just in the beginning stages and you're trying to figure out what's fair, just how does it all work? So I wanted to cover it today. If you got to sell your house quickly, or if your home needs moderate to major repairs, a cash buyer is probably your best option. If that isn't the case, you probably want to get a hold of a Texas licensed real estate agent here in San Antonio to list your home, if it's in livable condition or if it's a newer home. A cash buyer is not going to be your best fit in that case. I'm going to use a hypothetical scenario to explain how a cash buyer would determine how to make an offer on your home. Let's say that you lived in a neighborhood, and I'll use an actual subdivision located here in San Antonio. It's called Sunrise, and I'm just going to throw hypothetical numbers out. These are just made up. Let's say in the last 6 months in Sunrise here in San Antonio, the top sale in the neighborhood was $100,000 for a fully renovated home. It's just easier to say $100,000. It'll be easier to work the numbers that way. So a cash buyer is going to look at that, and they're going to base their offer off that if your house is similar. So if you have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house and it's 1,000 square feet, and that house that sold at $100,000 was 1,500 square feet and it was a 3.2, those aren't the same things. So that cash buyer is not going to base their offer on $100,000 if your house is 500 square feet smaller and has a bed and bath less than the top sale in the neighborhood. They're gonna shoot lower because your house isn't worth as much as that house was. Profit. How much does an investor or a cash buyer, how much do they want to profit? Typically, I'd say a good rule of thumb is most buyers are going to run their numbers so that they make 20% net profit. Why is that? Why 20%? And actually some are higher. Some may even ask, they try to shoot for 30. The reason most investors will shoot for 20% net profit is because they can make 8% in stocks, just sitting down, not really putting any effort in. Real estate's risky. There's a lot of risks. There's a lot of unknowns. Nothing's really set in stone or certain. You're not guaranteed to make a return on the investment you make as a cash buyer. So they shoot for 20% because of that risk. In considering a fair offer, when they're presenting it to you as a property owner, these are some of the expenses that they take into consideration. Marketing costs. It costs money to get in front of you. So they're either paying to send mailers out or they're paying for ads. Either way, it's not cheap, and they have to factor for that. They're covering the closing cost in most cases. That's what we do, at least. We cover the closing costs for the sellers that we help out here in San Antonio. 2% is usually about what it costs on a sales price. Another big one, how much it'll actually cost to renovate your house to make it look like that $100,000 top sale in Sunrise. So if that top sale had granite and it had completely remodeled bathrooms and a new roof, how much is it going to cost to make your house look just like that house? That's what they're looking at. They're going to look at that. Another thing is they're going to look at commissions and closing costs, because when they go to resell the home at $100,000, they got to pay that just like anybody else. And then lastly, and this is something that most people don't take into consideration, they got to pay capital gains taxes. So if they make a profit, depending on what their income bracket is, they're paying anywhere from 15 to 20% on whatever profit they make. After they fix it up, they buy the house from you as a property owner, there's no guarantees that they get that $100,000. They're speculating. They're saying, okay, one house sold for $100,000 and it was fixed up, but it doesn't guarantee that their house is going to sell for $100,000. You just don't know. You're taking a chance. You're taking a gamble. I'll get back into the numbers. So remember, 20% net profit is what an investor hopes to make. Based on that $100,000 top sale, an investor's going to take 20 grand off the top of that, and they're going to come down to 80, and that's their cushion. That's their profit. And then what are they going to look at? All those expenses I just mentioned. They're going to subtract all that, everything I just mentioned. So that $80,000, after all those things are deducted, can quickly become $65,000 to $70,000. Then lastly, the biggest thing, the one thing that I didn't consider in that I'm going to cover now, is how much it'll actually cost to make your house look like that top sale. And that varies. It'll depend on the age of your home, the condition of your home, and how big your house is. And it's hard to ballpark that number without seeing the inside of it. So I'd say, as a property owner, my advice to you, if you get an offer from somebody that didn't walk your house, probably a chance that price they gave you is going to change because they haven't seen it, so they don't know. The way that we work over at sellmy210home.com, we'll go out, we'll inspect your house. It's very informal. It's 15, 20 minutes or so. We'll take some notes, kind of figure out what we think it'll cost, and we're going to give you an offer, and the offer won't change because we've seen your house, we know what we're getting into. So let's say your house was 1,500 square feet and it was a 3-2, just like that top sale. If your house needed new flooring, it needs, let's say, a whole paint job in the inside and outside, kitchen and bathroom remodel, and then I'm going to throw in that it needs a new roof. Let's say it's older and it needs a new roof. The numbers I put together specifically based on investors that I've worked with already, it'd probably be right at about $28,000 is what they would spend, give or take. So from the $65,000 to $70,000 that I mentioned, after deducting commissions, closing costs, property taxes, all these things, expenses they factor for, that $65,000 to $70,000 can quickly become $37,000 to $42,000, and that number won't change. But that range, that's about where a fair cash offer would come in. It seems low. It really does. It seems low. But consider this: if the investor sells the house for $10,000 less than they hope, their profits gets cut in half. If they have to make any major concessions to the family that gets under contract with them for home warranty, home security system, additional repairs, it could go down even more. So the profit they were hoping to make could be, I've seen some investors that make $5,000 on a property. Just wanted to cover that with y'all today to explain how a fair offer is worked out.